The tragedy of Crime Alley is a fixed point in the multiverse. It is the wound that never heals. In a million different realities, a gun is fired, two parents fall, and a boy is left standing in the rain, his soul forging itself into something hard and cold. But the gun is an imprecise instrument. And in this universe, the hand of Joe Chill trembled. He didn't aim for the father. He panicked, he pulled the trigger blindly. The bullet did not find Thomas Wayne's heart. It found the small chest of an 8-year-old boy who had stepped forward to protect his mother. Bruce Wayne died before he hit the ground. Thomas and Martha Wayne survived the night, but they did not survive the loss. They returned to Wayne Manor not as a family, but as ghosts haunting their own home. Thomas buried his grief in scotch and silence. Martha stared out of rainy windows, her mind fractured, whispering to a son who wasn't there. The Batman was never born. The Gotham City Police Department, corrupt and lazy, filed the case under robbery gone wrong. Detective Jim Gordon tried, but the mob-owned judges dismissed the leads. The file was closed. The city moved on. But there was one man who did not move on. One man who could not simply close the file. Alfred Pennyworth. To the world, he was the loyal servant, the man who poured tea and dusted mantles. But before he was a butler, Alfred was a man of war. He had served in the SAS, he had worked intelligence. He had done terrible things for king and country, and he had buried those demons deep beneath a tuxedo and a stiff upper lip. He had promised Thomas Wayne he would keep the family safe. He had failed. 1 week after the funeral, Alfred stood in the master's study. Thomas Wayne was slumped in a chair, a glass of amber liquid dangling from his hand. "They aren't doing anything, Alfred," Thomas slurred, his voice thick with despair. "The police, they say it's just another mugging. They say the man is gone." Alfred adjusted his cufflinks. His voice was soft, devoid of emotion. "The police are limited by the law, sir, and by their own appetites. I want him found," Thomas whispered, tears finally falling. "I want the man who took my boy. I want him dead." Alfred looked at his employer. He saw a broken man who would never have the strength to pull a trigger. He saw a mother upstairs who was slowly fading away. "I understand, sir," Alfred said. "I shall see to the arrangements." Thomas thought Alfred meant hiring a private investigator. He didn't see the look in the butler's eyes. It was a look that hadn't been seen since the jungles of Burma. The look of a predator picking up a scent. Alfred did not build a bat computer. He did not forge armor from military prototypes. He went to the basement, opened a dusty trunk that hadn't seen the light of day in 20 years, and retrieved a simple gray suit. Inside the trunk lay a Browning high-power pistol, a suppressor, a combat knife, and a set of leather gloves. He didn't need a mask. Who would suspect the help? Who looks at a butler and sees a killer? He started at the bottom. A low-level fence named Matches Malone, known for selling stolen pearls. Alfred walked into the dive bar at 2 a.m. The music was loud. The air smelled of stale beer and sweat. He approached the table in the back. Malone was counting cash, surrounded by 3 thugs. "Excuse me, gentlemen," Alfred said, his British accent cutting through the noise like a razor blade. Malone looked up, laughing. "You lost, Grandpa? The library is uptown." "I am looking for a necklace," Alfred said calmly. "Pearl. Double strand stolen last Tuesday in Crime Alley." Malone's smile vanished. He stood up, pulling a switchblade. "You asking questions that get people hurt, old man." It took 4 seconds. Alfred didn't brawl, he didn't trade punches. He moved with an efficiency that was terrifying to behold. He stepped inside the knife thrust, snapped Malone's wrist, and used the man as a human shield as the other thug stood up. Thwip, thwip. 2 rounds from the silenced pistol. 2 thugs dropped, clutching their knees. Alfred pushed Malone onto the table, pressing the barrel of the gun against the man's cheek. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't shout, "Where is he?" like a vigilante. He simply leaned in close, whispering like he was asking about dinner preferences. "I have a schedule to keep, Mr. Malone. The name of the man who sold you the pearls, or I shall have to make a terrible mess of your upholstery." The name was Joe Chill. But Joe Chill wasn't just a mugger. In this reality, he was an enforcer for the Falcone Crime Family. He was protected. Most men would have stopped there. You don't go to war with Carmine Falcone. But Alfred Pennyworth wasn't most men. He was a man who had cleared insurgent bunkers with a combat knife. To him, the Falcone family wasn't a powerful syndicate. They were simply on clutter, and Alfred detested clutter. For 3 nights, Gotham bled. Safe houses were hit with military precision. Money laundering fronts burned to the ground. The police were baffled. They were looking for a gang, a rival syndicate. They found only bodies neatly arranged in shell casings. Carmine Falcone sat in his penthouse furious. "Who is doing this?" he screamed at his lieutenants. "Is it Maroney? Is it the freak?" "We don't know, boss," a terrified soldier stammered. "The guys who survived, they said it was a ghost. An old guy in a suit. He walked in, apologized for the intrusion, and shot everyone in the head." Alfred was dismantling the infrastructure of Gotham's crime, brick by bloody brick. He slept 2 hours a night. He served Thomas Wayne his breakfast at 8 a.m., pressed his suit, and ensured the manor was spotless. By 10 p.m., he was back in the city, turning men into memories. He was a duality of service. By day, he served the Waynes. By night, he served the dead boy. Alfred finally tracked Joe Chill to the Falcone penthouse. The Don was protecting him, knowing that if Chill talked, he could implicate Falcone in the corruption of the GCPD. Alfred didn't sneak in through the window. He walked into the lobby of the Falcone Tower. The security guard stepped forward. "Private event, pal." Alfred adjusted his tie. "I am here to take out the trash." The security footage recovered later would become a legend in the intelligence community. 1 man, 12 armed guards. The elevator ride to the top floor took 60 seconds. By the time the doors opened on the penthouse level, Alfred was the only one standing. He stepped over the bodies, reloading his magazine with a fluid, practiced motion, careful not to step in the blood. He walked into the main lounge. Carmine Falcone was there. And sitting on the couch, shaking, holding a bottle of vodka, was Joe Chill. Falcone pulled a gold-plated Desert Eagle. "Who the hell are you?" Alfred didn't hesitate. He put a bullet in Falcone's shoulder, dropping him to the floor. Then he turned his gaze to Chill. The mugger scrambled backward over the expensive leather sofa. "Please, I didn't mean to. It was an accident. The gun just went off." Alfred stood over the man who had destroyed his world. He looked at the trembling hands that had held the gun. He looked at the face of the man who had stolen Bruce's future. "Accidents," Alfred said softly, "are simply a lack of preparation." "I'll give you anything," Chill screamed. "Money. Names. Just don't kill me." Alfred tilted his head. "You misunderstand the nature of my employment, Mr. Chill. I am not a negotiator, I am a butler." Alfred raised the pistol. "And I am simply tidying up." The next morning, the headlines screamed of a massacre. The Falcone massacre. The crime lord was in the hospital under arrest, his empire shattered. The gunman, Joe Chill, was found dead, executed with a single shot to the heart. Thomas Wayne sat at the breakfast table reading the paper. His hands were shaking less today. There was a grim satisfaction in his eyes. "They got him, Alfred," Thomas said, looking up. "Someone got him. The police say it was a rival gang hit." Alfred poured the Earl Grey tea, the steam rising in the morning light. His suit was immaculate, his gloves were fresh. There was not a speck of dust on him. "A fortunate turn of events, sir," Alfred replied, his face a mask of perfect calm. I feel like we can finally breathe," Thomas said. "Maybe now the city is safe." Alfred placed the teapot down. He looked out the window toward the skyline of Gotham. He knew the truth. Falcone was gone, but another would rise. Maroney Penguin. The freaks were coming. The city was a garden that required constant weeding. He had failed to protect the sun, but he would protect the memory. "Indeed, sir," Alfred said, a ghost of a smile touching his lips. "But should the need arise, I shall always be here to ensure the house is in order." In a world without a Batman, Gotham didn't get a hero. It got a cleaner. Who was more effective? The billionaire in the mask or the soldier in the suit? Tell me in the comments. If Alfred trained Bruce instead of the League of Shadows, would Batman have been even more dangerous? Don't forget to like and subscribe for our next trip into the multiverse. Class dismissed.